a Subaru fan and I love the new WRX with the CVT. It's amazing. Yeah, the new WRX, don't really know how to feel about it still. Oh, don't you worry, bro. There's gonna be a mad STI version and Ringland's gonna be flying. Look, if they're not really gonna improve the WRX that much, they're probably not gonna improve the STI that much. Oh no, it's going electric. Let's talk about the new STI. You guys really wanted me to talk about the brand new STI, or lack thereof. Well guys, the lowered Crosstrek is the final combustion WRX STI. Sick.
Write that down.
So the brand new WRX just was revealed last year, and I didn't have the best things to say about it, to be honest with you. I called it a disaster. Because I wasn't a fan of the styling, I wasn't a fan of the engine, there really wasn't much more power to be had, and they were putting more focus on the CVT transmission rather than a manual. Just a very weird unveil, to be honest with you. Don't you worry, buckle your seatbelt, Subaru's about to do something even better. So we just got reports that a new STI has been completely canned using a combustion engine. Now look, I've always said that it'd be great to get a new EJ motor or a new boxer motor for the STI, but maybe what I asked for was too much, you know, after like 30 years or something. But apparently they're just like, no, we're not gonna do a combustion motor at all for the next STI if there is going to be an STI. Before we move on with today's video, I just want to give a huge thanks to today's sponsor, Dr. Squatch. Dr. Squatch is changing the way that men approach hygiene by providing high-performing, natural, healthy products that make you feel like a man and smell like a champion. Dr. Squatch will take your shower game to the next level, allowing you to level up your soap and step up your scent. Choose your favorite lineup of soaps, hair care, deodorant, and more so you never have another boring shower or routine again. And all of Dr. Squatch's soaps are made in the USA using the finest ingredients nature has to offer. And Dr. Squatch has incredible transparency about their ingredients. It's cool, you can just go ahead and look at the label and it's all there. And feel free to completely compare this stuff to the big soap companies of today, because you're not gonna find stuff you like. Especially the difference between what is natural and what is not. And hundreds of thousands of men have already subscribed to Dr. Squatch, which means Squatch bars of soap showing up at your door every single month. And honestly, if you use Dr. Squatch and it's not the best bar of soap you've ever used, Dr. Squatch will send your money back, no questions asked. And my first shower experience was honestly really surprising. And side note, I have a ton of allergies, and with big soap, I take a huge risk sometimes getting extremely itchy and kind of getting rashes on my arms. And with Dr. Squatch, since it's fully natural, I don't have any irritation on my skin, and that's a huge win for me. I personally love the smell of the pine tar, this black bar of soap with all natural ingredients, and it just makes you feel good. And your entire shower has this aroma of pine. It's amazing. So if you're ready to ditch big soap and use all natural ingredients and make yourself feel better, make sure to head over to Dr. Squatch, and new customers get 20% off on orders of $20 or more. And use my code DSQBlue and click the link in the description below. That's Dr. Squatch with DSQBlue. Thank you guys so much, and let's move on with the video. All right, so let's break this down. Two companies in the past year have made very weird decisions. And you know what I'm gonna say probably. The WRX from Subaru and Acura with the Integra. A lot of the same mistakes were made. The styling, in my opinion, wasn't there, especially for the Integra. I'll probably do another breakdown of the Integra about it being officially unveiled, by the way, even though it's really not all that different, but we'll get to that later. The WRX, every Subaru enthusiast that I'm friends with, which I know a lot, they just weren't excited about this new WRX almost at all. So this is big because this has been Subaru's flagship performance car for 30 years. And it's insane to think of Subaru without an STI, without hearing that boxer rumble in the distance that we all know. It's almost like the car guy joke, right? We hear a car in the distance and we can recognize the engine sound. The Subaru was the easiest one to remember because it was a very signature weird sound. In an article by The Drive, they have a quote from Subaru, and it says, "As the automotive marketplace continues to move towards electrification, Subaru is focused on how our future sports and performance cars should evolve to meet the needs of a changing marketplace and the regulations of requirements for greenhouse gases, zero emissions vehicles, or corporate average fuel economy." So you're worried about fuel economy, but the WRX gets like terrible fuel. Let's move on. This is my personal opinion. I don't think that Subaru is doing this to just go electric. I think they're going electric for different reasons rather than we think it's the right thing to do. I think they're doing it because they're forced to. With the new STI being proposed, I guarantee there's some higher ups in the company saying, we probably can't do this anymore because the industry is changing and regulations are getting harsher and harsher and harsher towards combustion engines. What's highly ironic is that electrification, as much as they're fun to drive, like a fast Tesla or the Taycan Turbo S, it creates another problem. We're digging into the ground just like fossil fuels. So it's this whole debate between electric and fossil fuels, yet we're going to another problem. That's just my opinion, when we could have gone hydrogen or in other things, which, you know, hydrogen is like the most abundant gas, I don't know, in the universe. So the new WRX is a 2.4 liter engine with barely any horsepower gain, which makes 271 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. But I always made the argument that the WRX in a lot of ways was always evolving more than the STI was, because they were using different engines. You know, they went to the FA instead of the EJ, and it felt like a different car. Even though the WRX wasn't as fast as the STI, it felt like a newer version of a Subaru. Knowing that the STI is not gonna make any sound, that is a bizarre thing. Like, it's super bizarre to think that the next evolution of this rally car inspired vehicle is just gonna make a Jetson noise going down the street. The issue is, I think, are Subaru enthusiasts really gonna be all that stoked about an electric STI? And I don't think so. I think the EJ motor is so popular in that community because of its character, because of how it sounds, because of how it feels. And that's why it stuck around and stood the test of time for all these years, is because it had a signature recipe. Subaru's had this very signature way of doing things. And the new STI was expected to be unveiled this year. I think that's what's even more weird about the situation, is that I think they did have plans to make a version, but they were basically gonna go after the Mercedes-AMG A45 Super Hot Hatch, which has a lot more power and all that good stuff. But they were gonna take the new WRX engine, or new WRX engine, and essentially upgrade it and make it more powerful for the STI, so that the STI and the WRX shared similar platforms, and that way it was easy to mix and match parts and et cetera, et cetera. It just seems very strange because there was no big press conference for this. There was no big announcement like, hey, listen, we got to change and this is why. It literally was, yeah, we're not doing it. It's very undramatic, which is a huge dramatic decision for the STI brand. You're taking its entire identity and axing it after generations. And so it's a big risk for STI to go this way. And here we go again with, should it be named the STI? Should the next car be named the STI? Maybe the STI should be almost a car of the bygone era, right? If they're gonna go this completely different way, maybe it's time for a change of name or a change of branding. Because like we always say on this channel, branding is everything. What I'm trying to say is that the cars just never changed that much, and now we're getting this extreme change, right? It's not so much like, oh yeah, they are indeed a new boxer engine. No, the identity is going away. And I said in previous videos that reviewing Subarus was starting to get stale because they all use the same engine, right? For the most part. It didn't matter if the car had 500 horsepower or 700 horsepower or 300 horsepower. They all had a very similar torque band of like how it came on and what it sounded like. It's not like, hey, we're driving the new Subaru and it is just like incredibly different. That was almost never the case. It was usually minor changes like ECU tuning and suspension tuning, you know, barely. And going back to that similarity, the last WRX was only a 2 liter and it made a little bit around 268 horsepower. And they added 0.4 liters of displacement and got 271? Like, what? That makes no sense. And it just feels like this weird, engineering effort to just overhaul everything for a few horsepower, right? And it still feels pretty much the same. So Subaru, I think right now, is in a very weird identity crisis. That's where I think they stand. I think they're kind of in this weird spot of like, okay, like we've developed this EJ that has been around for decades, and now we have to get rid of it very suddenly, which means we have to get rid of the STI temporarily to change it to hybrid electric, which leaves the WRX as the last great combustion Subaru, which is really a shame. Like, it's just really sad. It's really sad because Subaru is pretty much unchallenged in the all-wheel drive rally segment at the moment because we don't have the Evo anymore. We don't have the Focus RS anymore. Hopefully the Corolla GR comes to the United States, and maybe that could be a good competitor. But I can tell you right now, if somebody gave me the option between a brand new WRX and the Corolla GR, sight unseen, I would go get the Corolla GR, which means Subaru probably has an identity problem. That shouldn't be an easy choice. You know, a car that's got a reputation in the United States forever, and then you have a Corolla hatchback with a turbocharged 3-cylinder, and I'm just like, yeah, that sounds cooler because it's newer technology and it's more unique. Subaru has not been unique forever. And I'm kind of a broken record here, guys, but at the same time, I'm just trying to understand why they didn't make this more of a big deal. Why they didn't come out and be like, hey, we're like literally forced to do this, because that's what it feels like. It feels like they have something to their head and they're like, yeah, we just have to say this right now so we can get started on this electric STI, even though we probably don't want to. Guys, what do you think about the brand new STI, or lack thereof the brand new STI? Do you think it was time for the EJ to go away anyway to do something different? I'm not saying that it had to be electrification, but it would have been nice to just see one last ooh-rah STI with a different combustion motor, but that's just me. And on that note, I upload on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.